So, good morning, everybody. Say yaar at least. Okay. So, my name is Bhumeshwari Deshmukh, and today I am presenting on the topic of specific surface area. So, for this, I take the reference of General USP Chapter 846. So, rather than going word to word, I am explaining what exactly is in there. Okay, madam. So, these are some topics we are covering today in this presentation. So, what is the principle of this technique? Another, why this important, why we are using for this. Then difference between the PSD and specific surface area, what is the difference between those. Then method parameters, how we analyze the sample when we doing this specific surface area test. Second, importance of condition, whatever we are doing here, methodology we are using, whatever the conditions are there, why that is very important. Then factor affecting, during the analysis some problems are coming, so what could be the factor which can affect this test. Another, operational procedure, how we are handling this instrument. These are some topic we are covering this, madam. So the basic principle is the specific surface area refers to the concept of measuring the total surface area of the material per unit mass, essential quantifying how much exposed surface area exists relative the overall weight of the substance. Suppose we are taking the sample 1 gram, 2 gram, whatever it is. So that specific unit of that sample, how many pores are there or how many area is which is the not occupied by that particle, empty space that we are using. So either you take a 0.5, either you take a 1 gram, the specific surface area measure that per unit mass only, it won't affect. Okay, so the unit is meter square per gram. Okay, and this total analysis depend on this bet, means one theory is there, Brunner Emmett Taylor theory, this total technique based on that. Okay, next one. So what are the applications for this technique? Why we are doing this test, where it is applicable, why it is used. So in the catalyst, when what is the role of the catalyst? It's not taking a part of any reaction, but it can be increase or decrease the rate of the reaction. So why it's, where it depend. So when catalyst go, there are, we can analyze the what is the surface area of that catalyst, then we can conclude how many active sites are there for the reaction. Again, adsorption. So if there is the more specific surface area, means there is will be more adsorption, like a paint. Have you saw some white color like this puttings? It's very rough, means there are more active sites for adsorption. So more adsorption, more can be surface area. Pharmaceutical. So like a bioavailability, dissolution, if the surface area more the pore size is there, it will easily dissolve. So we can conclude the bioavailability also. Then powder processing, uh, when we use analyze this surface area, then we can conclude that during the mixing how it will be behave, this one of the topic. So these are some basic application of this test. So now why we doing specifically this test? What is the actual difference between the particle size distribution and specific surface area? As both are the particle counting only, then what is the difference between this? So in the particle size analyzer, we focus on the range and proportion of the particle size within the sample, wherein the specific surface area quantifying the total surface area per unit mass. Like we taken one sample 1 gram. In the PSD, what we analyze, what specific size of the sample, how much percentage in there. Suppose 25 micron we have to analyze. So 25 micron of that specific size, how much percentage in that 1 gram. But in the specific surface area, we are taking the 1 gram of sample, and in this 1 gram, what is the total surface area of that? Means either I take it 0.5, 1 gram, whatever it is, it's not depend. If I increase in the PSD, sample quantity, automatically percentage will be high, but here not like that. So particle size analyzer, it focus on the proportion of fine, medium and coarse particle, but in the specific surface area, according to the size and shape of the particle, specific surface area change. So in the PSD, if different sizes are available, we can conclude how much percentage is there. But in here, depend on the size of the particle, specific surface area will change. That we see after. Particle suspension or free particles required for the PSD means either we do sieve analysis or Malvern, whatever. The free flowing particles we required for that. It should be in the free suspension. But when we go to the specific surface area, either sample is whatever the means hygroscopic whatever, we are doing this analysis by the adsorption and the gas exchanging. So there is no need of the free particle one. According to the sample, use the different dispersion for the analysis and air for the dry method. In the Malvern, different when we doing wet method, we have to use a different dispersant. So preparation is there, so many things according to the sample. But in the specific surface area, not like that. Only we are using the gas exchanging. That's it. Conclude the dissolution activity, and here we can conclude the adsorption. As the size of the particle, we can conclude the only dissolution. But as per a specific surface area, we can conclude so many things like we discuss bioavailability, dissolution and adsorption. So method parameters. In the method parameters, these 4 things are too much important. First thing, how much sample quantity we have to take. As we just see that specific surface area, we conclude meter square per gram, means how much quantity we will take and that much surface area it will conclude. So sample quantity is mandatory. Degassing time. So we have to degas it during the procedure. So how much time we have to degas, that is also more important. Degassing temperature, at what temperature we have to degas it, that is also one more thing. And pressure range, means we are given the pressure from 0.05 to 0.3 to 4, whatever it is mentioned in the methodology. So this pressure points also important. Accordingly, sample will showing their behavior. So why these are important, here we saw now. Inadequate degassing time can lead to inaccurate result by not completely removing adsorbent gases from the sample surface, which can significantly affect the calculate the surface area. First thing, why we degas it. So when we prepare the samples, we are using a lot of solvents, other reagents, whatever it is. So might be some residuals are there. When the sample finalized, there are some residual of other solvents. So if we did the same, directly analyze that sample without removing that solvents or whatever residuals are there, so during the adsorption, they will be interfere. We can't able to get a total free surface of that sample. So that's why we are doing degassing. It should be removed completely. So which solvent or which material taken how much time for total removing, that we can't conclude. Exactly we can't conclude, but it is very important that totally residual that should be removed. So degassing time is very important. Suppose I want 2 hours for total degassing for complete removal of that solvent, but if I give only 1 hour, so might be there some residual of solvents. So it will affect during the surface area calculation. Second, sample needs to be thoroughly degassed, create a clean surface for the gas molecule to absorb into, and if the degassing time is too short, residual gases on the sample surface interfere in the adsorption process, leading the underestimate the actual surface area. So if, as I say, if we given the less timing, it will completely can't be removed. Also, if we give the more degassing time, there is the possibility that sample could be degrade, because if like we give the more heat it, so might be it will be degrade also. So proper timing is very important. Porous material requires a longer degassing time compared to the non-porous sample, and higher vacuum level can improve the efficiency of degassing. Here one more thing, whatever we are doing this total analysis, there should be a vacuum condition. Why? Because we are doing degassing for removing the other residuals. If we did not done this in the vacuum condition, whatever the particles other in the environment, that can be interfere again. So there is the no use of the degassing. So whatever the activity of degassing, whatever we are doing, it should be in the vacuum condition. Degassing temperature. Crucial when measuring the specific surface area because it significantly impacts the amount of adsorbed gases on the material surface, leading to the potentially inaccurate result if not carefully controlled. So different solvent have a different boiling point. Okay, so if I use the ethanol in the sample preparation during that time, I have to completely remove it. So I need that proper temperature, so it should be completely removed from that particular sample. So that degassing temperature also required properly. If I did given the less temperature, it should be not completely removed. If I given the more temperature, it should be might be sample degrade, because sample have another melting point also. So proper temperature should be maintained, like a magnesium stearate. It start to melting at 80 degrees Celsius. If generally we are giving 100 degrees Celsius. So if I given same 100 degree like other sample, it will be degrade. So specific surface area automatically change. So the temperature also required, not a more, not a less. It should be a moderate. Okay. So how much temperature we can give? So from room temperature to 450. This is our whatever we are using currently instrument. It's 25 degree to 450 up to we can degas it. Okay. This is our degassing instrument, degasser. So these are the bolt. Here we from here nitrogen gas is coming. These are the holders where we are putting the sample tubes. This is the cooling. Another side one more some holes are there where we put the sample tubes. So from there we can temperature, taken temperature, we can adjust it from here. Time we can't, but temperature we can adjust. Madam. So these are some example, like a hydrotalacite, we degas at 25 degrees Celsius for 2 hours. Magnesium stearate 40 degree for 2 hours. But lansoprazole 70 degree 2 hours. Some another is there, lanreotide, which 100 degree for 4 hours. Colloidal silica 160 degree Celsius but 20 minutes only. Carbon black 305 degree Celsius and 3 hours. So sample to sample degassing time and temperature will be changed. There no constant. So here as I said, this total depend on the gas exchange principle. So what gases we are using? So as an adsorbent gas, nitrogen we are using. This is our bet. So that's why only nitrogen it's using. But instead of that, in some other instrument, they can use a krypton, argon, like that gases also. But our instrument only support to the nitrogen, and there are some drawbacks also using of krypton or other gases, because they have a low intermolecular forces, so they can't absorb too much like a nitrogen. Nitrogen absorbability is very high and standard. That's why we are using a nitrogen. Nitrogen have a high absorption. Okay. Another diluent gas. So diluent gas have two conditions. One thing, it should be not a adsorbed gas and a adsorbent free gas. But means it should be not absorbed when gas passing through it on the surface. So helium is the non-adsorbed gas. That's why we are using helium. Also nitrogen, krypton and argon also we can use, but as I say, gas exchange procedure, we use the non-adsorbent gases, and rather than non-adsorbent gas, that's why we are using helium. Also, helium is one of the what we can say, like a krypton and argon, like that. It's showing the adsorbent property little, so might be it will be interfere in the nitrogen also, because we are using adsorbent gas as a nitrogen. Either they have a low intermolecular adsorbent property, but they have it, but helium can't. That's why helium is the more probable for that. And madam, 1 minute back. So another thing is dead volume. Helium very useful for the dead volume. Now what is the dead volume? So during the analysis, we are keeping one as a reference tube. 4 ports are there. So in that 4 ports, one port as a reference tube. So we are keeping a, suppose 1 gram of sample in there, other tubes are empty. So helium using it as a dead volume, how many empty space is there, and how much the quantity of sample in that space. So whatever the empty tube is there, first it calculate the total surface area of that empty tube, because the glass we are using, that is the non-porous, means non-porous is there, so it won't affect. So whatever the empty is there, rather than that sample, that total which did not take part in the specific surface area measurement calculation, so helium calculate that dead value. So we get a proper calculation and a result of that specific surface area. So helium for that also very usable. Second, liquid nitrogen. So liquid nitrogen we are using as the cooling purpose, because adsorption can happen only a -°C. So that's why for maintaining that -°C temperature, we are using the liquid nitrogen. Now why we are using only liquid nitrogen? So depending on the desired temperature range, we can use the other coolant instead of liquid nitrogen also. But liquid carbon dioxide, liquid helium, chilled air, these are some dry ice, and acetone also some cooling reagent. But application might require the specific coolant based on the chemical properties, like a capability with the material being cooled. Liquid carbon dioxide minus 96°C to -31, where the liquid nitrogen is -90 to -196°C, up to that it showing the cooling factor. And also a very low temperature of liquid helium might be necessary while for moderate cooling, chilled air steam cooled sufficient. We don't know which sample, how it's showing, how much cooling factor it required. So some other things like carbon dioxide, liquid helium, chilled air, they are the moderate, very less cooling factor. So why we have to take a risk? Liquid nitrogen have a high -196 up to cooling factor is there. We don't know which type of sample coming to us. So that's why we are using this liquid nitrogen. Liquid carbon dioxide not cold as a liquid nitrogen. Also liquid helium is the more expensive and exploit also. It need a very take care during handling. Like a liquid nitrogen, when we are taking, if we wear a gloves also, it will protect us. But if liquid helium, little spill on your gloves, not only gloves will tear, but your skin also can be exploited. So it can take a too much of take care, safety issue also there. That's why we are not using a liquid helium. Like air coolant required a moderate temperature for some samples. We don't know which sample it required, because different samples come to us. That's why we did not using the coolant air. Next, madam. So this is the Dewar flask, where we are adding a liquid nitrogen as a cooling factor. When analysis start, it automatically comes up. In that where we are putting the ports, in that ports where we are adding a sample tubes, it automatically taken, it provide the cooling factor. Here this is the 2 liter of capacity. So pressure points. Different pressure points play a very crucial role in specific surface area, as they allow to measure the amount of gas absorbed onto the material at a various stages of adsorption. Like other instrument, we are checking a linearity with a different concentration. same pressure range playing here role. We are giving the different pressure range of the nitrogen gas, so we can able to identify at a different pressure range how the sample showing its activity, how it behave. So same thing here. The most important pressure range for calculating the specific surface area at a 0.05 to 0.3. Then why? The pressure is too low, only a small amount of gas will absorb, the making it difficult accurately measure the monolayer formation. At a high pressure, multilayer absorption can occur, leading to the inaccurate surface area calculation. So as I discussed, it's depend on total of bed theory, and bed theory depend on the monolayer only. If we give the very low pressure, less than 0.05, it is the moderate. If we go less than this, like a 0.054, so it is showing the very less absorption. So it will be affect the calculation of the specific surface area. Also 0.3 above, if we go like a 0.45, so might be showing the multilayer formation of the absorption. So that also we can conclude whether we get the result it's proper or not. So 0.05 to 0.3 is the range where the formation of the nitrogen is the monolayer. So it's totally depend on the monolayer formation. That's why we are going through this 0.05 to 0.3 moderate range. Next one. Now what are the factors affecting of this analysis? So sample quantity, as it does not directly affect the specific surface area, but a larger sample quantity which means actually I said it's whatever amount we are taken, so that total amount how much specific surface area, that only it calculate. So either you take a 0.5, 0.3, 0.1 also, it can't be affect. It measure the specific surface area in that 0.1 gram sample only, it not affect. But size of the particle, smaller the particle will have a larger specific surface area, because the more surface area exposed per unit. If I take a tablet one, their particle size is very less. It means whatever the other things, pore size is the more there. So if pore size is more, automatically surface area will be more. Shape of the particle. So surface area, it is calculated by dividing the total surface area of material by its mass to the absolute amount of material. So what is the size? Either it is rectangular, circle or rectangle, whatever. So it's how it calculate. If we take a tablet one, madam, next please. See this. This is the square shape. So length, breadth, everything is same. But look at to here. It is very longer. It's small. This is the equal size from all sides, but it's not in equal. It is a rectangular shape. So what is the size of the particle, that is also depend. If the size is the different or not equally, so surface area automatically will increase. Why? Because it total calculate the length by breadth by its gram, meter per square gram. So roughness also matter, because the roughness makes the more surface area by adding the bumps and dips. They helps things stick better and speed up the chemical reaction. If it is the rough in size, take a example of paracetamol. If you take it in hand, it feels very rough. If you compare to capsule, why? Because capsule have a very less porosity, and paracetamol is a very rough, means more active site, more sites it's given for the other things, so it can be absorbed it. So when we put the paracetamol in the water, it easily dissolve, it break and easily dissolve. But if you observe the capsule, up to total it's dissolve very slowly. Also up to total dissolution, it's not change its shape up to end. Second is as the porosity, I said, as we pore size increases, automatically surface area will increase. Okay, operational procedure, how we are taking. So generally first we are taking the empty weight tube. Okay, then we are adding the whatever the amount of sample in that. Then we degas at a particular temperature and particular time. After degassing, we are again weighing, means how much weight change. Some residuals are there that totally remove. So obviously there is some weight changing. So we change, again check it. After that we go to the software, and whatever the sample name, batch name, whatever it is there, we are set the pressure point particularly, and we enter the weights in there. Why weight enter? Because it's calculating the surface area per unit mass. So weight is important. We entering the weight in that. Accordingly we switch on the gases, helium and nitrogen. It's showing the gas exchanging property, and then automatically our instrument generating the reports. But 3-4 things here we have to check whenever the result generate. First thing, whatever the specification is mentioned for that sample, it should be the match, because if it is not matched, there should be lot of things. Another thing is the correlation coefficient. So what is the it should be madam, not more than 0. It should be not less than 0.9975. Why? Means it's showing the accuracy of the specific surface area. Means whatever the result comes in that, is that correct or not. One is the ideal, but not less than 0.9975, as we are giving different pressure range to it, 0.05 to 0.3. So in this it's showing one type of the linearity in different pressure, how it behaves. So accordingly it's showing the correlation coefficient. If it is less than 0.9975, might be result is within the specification, but something is there which is miss, like that. So these are the state of progress our instrument showing when it analyze the sample. First, instrument initialization. Itself it's checking either the gas exchanging going properly or not, whatever the pressure we are selected. Second thing, dead volume. As I say, empty tubes dead volume it calculate first. Then reference cell dead volume. Whatever the reference cell is there inside one, like a port, like aluminium one rod is there, that is equilibrate the temperature. Means now currently what is the room temperature, after going to the liquid nitrogen what is the temperature, whatever the gas exchange is there, it's going properly or not. If it is not, it's showing the over pressure. Reference is showing the over pressure. Set the temperature, gas exchange, dead volume, saturated vapor pressure dosing, whatever the we are pressure range given, it's saturate or not. Then again gas exchanging and adsorption measurement. After treatment means after everything completed, it instrument itself ensure and set down. So these are the our report template. Graph as a different pressure range we are set, it showing it linearity, sample name, batch number, everything. Another whatever the pressure range we are mentioning in that. Correlation coefficient, result, also it's showing the pore size, whatever surface area it measure. So what is the exact pore size of that pores, that is also it's showing. And another, it's a E sign, one of the means is there whenever we start that time analyst E sign, and when after reviewing, reviewer E sign also it's showing. Instead of thank you, welcome, if any question is there, please let me ask.